NFL Week 1 is right around the corner, and this is your DraftKings NFL Week 1 first look. That's right, we're going to go through the DraftKings salaries for Week 1. We're going to take a look at some of the matchups on the sportsbook for Week 1, get a sense of the top plays. We're going to find and identify the best value plays and put together our first look NFL Week 1 lineup. Guys, I couldn't be more excited. It's been so long since we've been together. My name's Kevin Allen, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and this one, like I said, it's going to be a little longer than usual because we're going to be getting into player by player. Going to remind ourselves what these guys did last year. And of course, as always, before we take a look at any kind of salaries or look for player picks, we have to take a look at the matchups and get a sense of these games, the odds, and all that good stuff. So we're going to be doing the Sunday main slate, the DraftKings slate, main slate of games. And we'll get started here. I've got the Sharp app live odds screen up on the screen. This is the fastest live odds, real-time odds screen in existence at Sharp app. So we appreciate that. And let's get started here. First game on the docket. We've got the Giants at the Commanders. Commanders at home, 6-point favorites, 45.5-point total in this one. Obviously, the Giants are, a rebuilding team a little bit, and the Commanders are a competing team. 6-point spread seems almost too low in this one. Giants going to roll out Russell Wilson at QB. Okay, fine. They don't have much else going on behind Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors will be playable every single week simply because he's going to just be peppered with targets on this team, regardless of who the quarterback is or regardless of what the game situation is. Flip side, we've got the Commanders, team on the rise. Jaden Daniels smashing last year. They're 6-point favorites at home. Normally, that's a spot where you're kind of eyeballing the running back, but the Commanders have released Brian Robinson Jr., and they're rolling with some sort of a committee between Chris Rodriguez, Billy Krosky-Merritt, and Austin Eckler. And the whole thing seems gross to me. I don't want nothing to do with that. Nothing. So we're going to be staying away from that aspect of this team, although there are some spots that I have some interest in this game. 45.5-point total, certainly juicy enough to make the game interesting. All right, next up, we've got the Steelers at the Jets. Jets at home. 3-point home underdogs, 38.5-point total in that game. It's pretty gross. Now, obviously, we're going to get the debut of Fields, a little bit of a revenge narrative with Fields against his old team Steelers. I don't care about that. That's not really that interesting. Really, on the Jets offense, there's only one player that's probably going to be one or two players that are going to be of interest all year. The quarterback, Justin Fields, always going to be somebody that we're interested in. He gets it done with the legs. And Garrett Wilson's the literal only pass catcher in town for the Jets. They have nothing else going on. Alan Lazard, Josh Reynolds, just a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. No one to catch a pass. And the Jets running back situation is gross. I'm not going anywhere near that anytime soon until it's fully vetted out. So this game's pretty much a no-go for me across the board. 38-point total is not something we need to mess with in week 1. All right, next up, maybe a little more juicy, a little more exciting. Panthers at the Jaguars. 46.5-point total. Jaguars at home with the 3-point spread. This is the kind of total and spread that we're looking for in DFS. Close game, up-and-coming teams, right? The Jaguars add Liam Cohen. They steal him from the Bucs and are now being coached by an offensive-minded person. This is the Jaguars' year to shine. They add Travis Hunter. They had the wide receiver Hunter in the draft. They got Brian Robinson Jr. Even the tight end, Brenton Strange, could be interested in this game. Everything is interesting on the Jaguars side. We haven't really seen this offense, but I'm excited about it. And the Panthers, really poor defensive team, but also were surging late last season with Bryce Young. They add Ted McMillan, what I think could be a stud wide receiver. They got Leggett there, Corker, and Adam Thielen could get traded between now and the start. But this game does stand out pretty well. Running back situation for the Jaguars, untouchable. Etienne, Bigsby, Bajal Tootin, no clue. We don't know. I don't think any one of them is going to get a lot of touches. I'm staying away. On the Panthers, they really just added Rico Dowdle to the running back crew, but it should be the 70% Chuba that we would expect. So Chuba Hubbard going to be somebody to pay attention. One of the more exciting games of the week, we got the Bucs at the Falcons. This one looks good on paper, right? 47.5-point total. Falcons, 2.5-point home, maybe 2-point. Well, let's call it a 2-point home underdog. If you want to bet this, screen is telling you to go to DraftKings where you'll get 2.5 points rather than, anywhere else, the same -110 on FanDuel's +1.5. So this is a definite go bet this right now on DraftKings situation. This is actually the best way to use this tool. When you see these discrepancies, you really want to go hammer them. There's another one, 1.5. You can get it on Novig and FanDuel 1.5 -110. DraftKings is +2.5. So you want to grab this one on DraftKings if you're going to bet the Falcons. With that being said, it does not look like Darnell Mooney is going to be healthy for week 1. So there's that. Bijan Robinson, obviously surging, the number 1 running back this year. So we have a lot of sexy players on the Falcons side. Drake London could get peppered with targets. And we've got, of course, the potential for Ray McCloud to be an interesting pay down option if needed. You'll see, guys, we will not need that. And then, of course, on the Bucs side, Godwin out, Emeka Egbuka tearing up training camp. Mike Evans as healthy as he's ever going to be. Bucky Irving, really exciting. Bucs offense, very tight. Fewer players to worry about on this offense now with Evans and Igbuga being the primary focal points of the passing off. That's a fun game. We might build around that one. That should be a really, really good one. Next, we've got the Bengals at the Browns. Bengals, about 6-point road favorites in this one. Game carries a 46.5-point total. The Browns have named Joe Flacco as their starter, which makes the Browns more of like a somewhat viable offense in a game like this. If they were going to roll out a rookie, I'd even be interested in Bengals defense here. But with Flacco back there, he gives them semi-professionality at the quarterback position. But more importantly, he's a gunslinger, right? Flacco out there slanging it. That brings Tillman and Jerry Jeudy into play as potential options on the Brown side of passing attack. We know the Bengals defense was terrible last year. I don't know that anything's changed. It should be about the same this year. Not very good. Their offense is very good. Now, in the past, I might have ignored Bengals offense in a game like this that kind of leans lower scoring. But in backtesting the 2024 season, I was reminded that really the Bengals are not a team to be faded ever. Joe Burrow is too good for that. And the team is too willing to just blow up the scoreboard at times when they can. So definitely not going to fade that team. I think Burrow double stacks based on my backtesting from last year. Burrow just double stacks should be in play virtually every week of the year. They're going to hit, 5 or 6 times or more this year. So it's something we want to pretty much just do automatically every week, and eventually those are going to smash. By Burrow double stacks, we're talking, of course, Burrow with Chase. Either of the Chases, really. Chase Brown should be part of that. Jamar Chase, T Higgins, and of course, even Gesicki in that mix. All right, next up, we've got the Cardinals at the Saints. Cardinals, 6.5-point road favorites against a Saints team that has just named Spencer Rattler, aka the Rattlesnake, as their starting QB. What does that mean? Why am I mentioning the Rattlesnake? Because the Saints basically seem to be content to lose all their games this year and grab a fresh young quarterback in the draft next year. So they're effectively a team that's mailing it in this season. That doesn't make too much of a difference week 1. I'm sure all the players are going to play really hard and they're going to try to win, but it's a growth situation for the Saints this year. I don't think they're going to be a team that scores a lot of points. And you can tell here in the total of that game. Yeah, you could tell though with the total that the Saints are not expected to score a lot of points here. They're massive underdogs. So I just don't play players from offenses like this. I won't be playing Olave or Shaheed or even Kamara week 1. I don't like underdog running backs. I get that Kamara is a pass catcher, this or that, and the other thing, and he can and will have smash weeks, but we don't really need it too much this week with all of the other stud action going on at the running back position. So I'm probably mostly going to avoid that and mostly avoid the Saints. The Cardinals, fine. I think Connor is in a good spot. We've got Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. So that we know who the pieces are on the Cardinals. Any one of them can pop, but I don't think this is going to be the kind of game where a lot of pressure is put on the Cardinals offense to keep up. I don't think the Saints are going to be able to do a whole lot offensively, or at least that's how I'm treating that one. All right, guys, next up, we've got the Raiders at the Patriots. That one's a 42.5-pointer. Patriots are at home for that one. Depending where you look, though, they are set at -3. And understandable, slight home favored Patriots team. The Patriots are a team I'm excited about this year across the board. Starts with Drake May, who is low-key a running quarterback that no one really seems to be aware of. They added some weapons, Stephon Diggs. They drafted the rookie Kyle Williams. So revamped look to the Patriots offense. And the biggest change, of course, Trevion Henderson, the running back who has been tearing it up in the preseason. I'm excited about him, but he does kind of project initially as a split share back with Ramondre Stevenson. Flip it around, taking a look at the Raiders. Talking about rookie running backs. The Raiders bring in top rookie running back taken this year, Ashton Janty. Excited to see what he can do. He should absolutely be a workhorse from the beginning. The Raiders don't really have anybody behind behind him of note. So it should be the Ashton Janty show if the Raiders can make a game of it and just keep it close. I think they can. The Raiders team, I think, is being underestimated a little bit. Geno Smith there at QB is a much, much better quarterback than what they had there last year. So we're going to have to see how that all comes together. Of course, they got Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. So I don't think the Raiders are that bad. I think both these teams will be surprised to the upside in terms of how good they are. I think this game could play to the over a little bit. 42.5 as the total seems low. I do like players from this game. We will be targeting them this week. All right, next up, we've got the Dolphins at the Colts. The Colts have named Daniel Jones as their starting QB for the season, which puts them in they could be fine kind of situation, especially at home in this one. They're 2.5-point home favorites, depending where you look, maybe 1.5 point. Again, it's really important to have this kind of tool if you're going to bet on sports, because I mean, just look at this right here. It's wild to see these discrepancies, but hey, if you just go to DraftKings and you want to bet the Colts, you've got to give 2.5 points. But if you saw this and you go to FanDuel Caesars, you're only giving 1.5 points. That's a point saving. Got to compare odds. But basically, it's a close game. Some interesting scenarios right now. As of right now, the Miami running back situation is kind of a little sketchy. Achane is banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to be okay for week one. I think he probably will, but it's not clear. That's usually a good spot for someone like Tyreek Hill. So this could be one of those sneaky good spots for the Miami passing offense, even though it is a road game and the team total is not the highest on the slate. It's still reasonable enough. On the Colts side, there are some kind of sneaky sleepers, I would say, that carry some interest. Daniel Jones, of course, if he chooses to run, could be really good. Very, very inexpensive. He's nobody I'm trusting in cash games, but I always have a little interest in Danny Dimes. The Colts added Tyler Warren, by all measures, what appears to be a stud tight end in the draft this year. I think he's going to have a big year for them this season. And will that translate to game one? Don't know. Never seen it, but the way they're using him in training camp and in the preseason says he will be involved. So he'll be a tight end kind of on the radar this week. And the other person tearing it up in Colts training camp has been Adonai Mitchell. There's been some banged up players as well. I think Josh Downs has been banged up. So Adonai Mitchell has stepped up and looked really, really good in training camp. So we'll monitor that situation as it gets closer to game time, but a possible salary saver is what I'd call Adonai. All right, next up, we've got the Titans at the Broncos. Broncos, 8.5-point home favorites against the Titans team, rolling out a rookie at the quarterback position. Titans look to be an improved team just by switching up that horrible quarterback they had from last year to a rookie who's looked, by all measures, pretty good in the preseason. So I like what Cam Ward has looked good in the preseason. I think he's going to be just fine. That being said, the Broncos might have the best defense in the NFL, and going on the road at the Broncos, not a good scene at all. So the Titans are going to be off. No bueno for me. We don't really take road massive underdogs against top-ranked defenses. That is not good DFS process at all. That is bad process. So let's not do that. As far as the Titans side go, even the fact that Tony Pollard is getting the start with injuries in the backfield for the Titans, I'm still not going to be super interested in him in this spot. I'm looking for favored running backs primarily. All right, next up, we got the 49ers heading out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. And this game will give us some extreme value plays and some pop plays potentially. The 49ers are 2.5-point road favorites here, and the game total set at 44.5. Now, I'm not really sure what to make of the Seahawks this year. They added Samwise Darnold, which I don't think is an upgrade over Geno. It's much more of a sideways move. They paid him, though. They paid Darnold $100 million, which is crazy, considering that Darnold's just not that good, but whatever, right? So Seahawks added Darnold. They certainly have a couple of playmakers that are interesting here. The running back, Walker, usually good. He's been great for years, but when he's healthy, and obviously he's healthy right now, and in the pass catching group, Jackson Smith and Jigba out there with no real significant target competition, JSN could see, 15 targets in a game like this for all we know. Like, Darnold is a quarterback that does like to hone in on his top wide receiver. I mean, that's kind of what he does. On the flip side, the 49ers, some injuries have created a massive value situation for us across all of the healthy 49ers players. So right now, it looks like Juwan Jennings might be hurt. Ayuk's not going to play. And all that's really left at wide receiver for the 49ers is Ricky Pearsall. Fine by me, right? And George Kittle. So Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle, absolute smash plays, NFL week 1. Kittle, I think, is my favorite tight end play on the slate. And of course, Christian McCaffrey, also same idea, underpriced, week 1, full health, lots and lots of goodness on the San Francisco side. And plus we get to take the favorite team, which is nice. Couple more games to go over here. We got the Lions at the Packers, division rivalry, the NFC North. Highest projected total on the main slate at 49. It's just barely squeaking out that, which was the other one, the 48.5er. Barely squeaking out this Bucks-Falcons game, which was at 47.5. And I thought we had another one that showed a 48, but I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, that 47.5 pointer. Oh, here it is. Yeah, back to it, though. So Lions at the Packers. Packers are at home for this one. They are 1.5 point home favorites for this matchup. What's not to like about the Lions, right? Studs everywhere. The only thing not to like about the Lions is maybe too many studs. They're all over the place. Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Montgomery's back. Too many names. Laporta. You got J-Mo Williams, and now Isaac Tesla making noise as a WR3 in the preseason. So everywhere you look on the Lions, there are weapons. They play in high-scoring games for a reason. We'll see how this goes. And then, of course, the Packers add Matthew Golden in the offseason. Beyond that, they really haven't changed the offense very much. It's Josh Jacobs, Golden. You've got Tucker Kraft, who Jordan Love says the offense runs through Tucker Kraft. So, okay, cool. And pretty much we know what we're going to get from the wide receivers, or at least what we got last year from the wide receivers from the Packers, which was uneven production. 1 week, Jaden Reed's going off for 23, 28. Next week, he's getting you 0. That's what you get from those guys. GPP only for the entire Packers offense, outside of Josh Jacobs, who just gets fed volume. Last game on the main slate, Texans at the Rams. The Rams are 2.5 point home favorites in this game. Team total set at 44.5. Matthew Stafford back, banged up all throughout the offseason, barely practiced. So hopefully, assuming he's fully healthy, you got Stafford, Puka. I love the addition of Devontae Adams to that team. I think Adams is going to shine with that group. Kyron Williams got the big extension this offseason. So the Rams team is pretty obvious what they're going to do. They're going to throw it to Puka. They're going to throw it to Devontae. And they're going to run it with Kyron. That's it. Three players that are going to be utilized on that side. And the Texans might even be even tighter with Nico Collins. I'm not sure who the running back is going to be for the Texans. A bad scene at running back. Mixon's hurt. Nick Chubb is the starter, but I don't trust him at all coming off that injury and just not looking that good last year. So I'm really not into the Texans offense in this game, but certainly not into the running game for the Texans right now. I think Nico Collins will be in play every single week, and then who knows what else they have going on. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the matchup portion of this breakdown. Let's jump over to DraftKings and get a look at the positions. We'll go position by position, talk through all the players, all the matchups, all that good stuff. But first, a friendly reminder that if you are not currently signed up for DFS Army, we're running the biggest promo of the year right now. You guys are waiting for this. I know you wait for it. Promo code KICKOFF 2025, the big kickoff special, knocks 20% off weekly or monthly VIP, whatever you do, covers all sports all the time. Best deal in town, domination station, cheat sheets, projections, notes, the best projection system in the business, the most accurate. No one can touch us. Rated top 2 projection model. Not really. Been in the top 3 for the better part of the last 10 years, according to Daily Overlay. So we have been crushing it for you guys, and we want you to get signed up here. I know you've been waiting for it. Code KICKOFF 2025 knocks 20% off the weekly or monthly dues. That will lock in forever. So you will lock in 20% off, which is totally the way to go. Go do it. Go do it. Get signed up now if you're not already signed up at DFS Army. All right, guys, let's get started with the quarterback position, and we'll work our way through as usual. And at the very top, we've got Jaden Daniels at home against the Giants. Let's take a look at what Jaden Daniels did last year. Averaged 22.2 fantasy points per game. And excitingly, kind of like was peak performance in the second half of the year. Look at this run from week 12, 32, 29, 24, 36, 35, 4-pointer. That's week 18. Don't worry about that. Barely played. And then in the playoffs, 22 and 25. So let's remember what it is that we're looking for in a tournament quarterback or a tournament player. The first thing is we're trying to get at minimum on a quarterback, a score that has the potential to return 4x salary. So 4 times the salary level. Jaden at 7K, we multiply that by 4, 7, 14, 21, 28. So we're looking for about a 28 out of Jaden Daniels here. But realistically, there's a little bit more to it. When you're the most expensive quarterback on the slate, you also have to outscore every other quarterback that's cheaper than you. So it's not just a 4x, but we really need them also to outscore every other quarterback on the slate. That's what the most expensive quarterback is going to do. That being said, this is a good enough spot as any for Jaden. At home, Giants defense is absolutely putrid, and the Commanders should be able to score at will on these guys. So Daniels certainly in the mix for me this week. You got Joe Burrow. I already mentioned him at Cleveland. The game total is low, but the team total is not too bad. I think Cleveland with Flacco is a more competitive opponent than Cleveland with not Flacco or whoever the hell else, or even last season's version of Deshaun Watson. So I think this game could be competitive, and Burrow double stacks are absolutely in play for me this week. I'll have some of those loaded up, and I probably prefer Jaden Daniels a little bit just because he got the legs and he knows how to use them, but Burrow's a good spot too. Baker Mayfield, again, on the road, but in that great high total game at Atlanta, this one could blow up. This has game stack potential written all over it. So a lot of very playable spots this week at the quarterback position. And you'll see as we put together a lineup, I'm going to start with the value-based lineup, and we're going to kind of show some alts from there. We start with the all value. But yeah, Burrow Mayfield double stacks, very doable. Burrow double stacks, also very doable. Another exciting quarterback potentially here is Jared Goff on the road at the Packers. Listen, Goff is one of those quarterbacks, and he's actually somebody I want to bring up his logs for. He had a great year last year from a fantasy perspective, almost 21 fantasy points per game, but that doesn't even really tell the tale. When the Lions start throwing it, start slinging it, he can really pop. Like, he had a 44-pointer, 37-pointer last season. That was Jacksonville. There was the Buffalo game. So when the opponent can score, when it's a high total game, a lot of times these spots blow up for Jared Goff, and that's a little bit of what we're looking at here with the Packers. Potentially high total game, this one could pop. So Jared Goff also on the tournament radar for me in week one. If I'm playing Goff, he's definitely going to have to be stacked with 2, but the 2 could be anybody. Even Jahmyr Gibbs is on that list. It's part of the reason maybe it's difficult to stack him. That's why it's really tournament only, but Jahmyr Gibbs is on that list. And of course, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and Laporta are the primary pass catchers. Isaac Tesla there as a secondary as well. So lots and lots of potential studs on the Lions to pair up with Goff. Kyler Murray in this game at the Saints, I don't know. Does Murray get it done in a game where they're probably not going to need to score that much? He's done it before. I mean, he will blow up. Look at here. He had a blow up game against the Jets when the Jets scored nothing. So it certainly can happen, but I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy in general. And I'm certainly not a big Kyler Murray guy in sort of a lower total game. So probably not a spot I'm going to get too excited about. Same thing with Bo Nix. Bo Nix was great last year, 19.4 fantasy points per game. Had some real blow-up spots, the 31-pointer in Week 11, and late in the season, this is what everybody remembers, 36-pointer against KC. I think KC was playing the backups in that one. I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure that was against the backups. Well, I could be wrong. On that. But Bo Nix has looked good. A bunch of high-scoring games. He does his thing. Let's look at the rushing yards. I mean, the rushing yards are really pretty good, too. 43, 47, 31. Like, just solid rushing numbers for him. He's just a good fantasy quarterback, or he seems to be maturing into a good fantasy quarterback. That's fine. That being said, I don't really see this game being super competitive. The Titans, the rookie on the road, they're on the road. So I think Denver should be able to control this game pretty comfortably. I don't think they're going to need a whole lot from the quarterback or the quarterback's arm to keep up in this game. I think the Denver defense will dominate. That is what I'm looking at this week. I'm much more interested in Denver defense maybe than Bo Nix specifically this week. Love Bo Nix. Love him. Don't send hate. I don't need the hate mail. I'm a fan of Bo Nix, but probably not week one. There won't be somebody I'm building around in week one. Brock Purdy's fine. Again, that San Francisco game, lots of missing pass catchers for the 49ers, which means it's really easy to stack him. We know where the ball is going. It's going to McCaffrey a little bit, but it's going to Kittle. It's going to Pearsall, maybe Juwan Jennings if he's healthy, but if not, we'll figure out who else is a warm live body on the 49ers that will be out there. Jolo had a very rough year last year, averaging just 15.9 fantasy points per game. Look at the production. Where are the big games? Here we go. We had a big one Week 4, it looked like 34-pointer, got a 26-pointer in there. But the whole rest of the season was just a sad disappointment sandwich. Tears and misery around this team and the passing offense. They leaned heavily on the run. I don't really know, though. Jolo looked a lot better before last year. Obviously, Detroit defense was bad last year, but they had a ton of injuries. They're not as bad this year. This is a high total game, though, and Jolo is the home quarterback. I think he probably deserves to be in some lineups. As far as how to stack him up, I think Kraft, Matthew Golden, the rookie, and maybe Jaden Reed, some mix of two of those. I certainly am not playing Love unless I'm stacking him with two players, same team. Stroud's a no. Stafford's not somebody I really am ever going to use a whole lot of in DFS. It's just so unsexy of a play. He can pop, but he's not priced low enough for that occasional pop to really matter enough. Like, okay, let's say he replicates his best game from 2024 and puts up a 25 at 6K. I don't think that's going to, if I didn't play him, I don't think that's going to ruin me. Now, that being said, of course, I like Puka and I like Devontae Adams. So I like a lot of the pieces on this Rams offense, but I'm just not so sure about Matthew Stafford being somebody I need to mess with in DFS this week. So I like the players around him, maybe a little better than I like. Tua, same difference. I don't generally play Tua in DFS. He averaged an acceptable 18.4 fantasy points per game last year and had some blow-up spots, which was unusual for him. Actually, he had a couple of really big pop games, 26, 28, 31. So that's fine. And he's very easy to stack. Hill, Waddle. I mean, there's not that many names. Waller, the tight end. I don't know. HN is stackable with him. So I don't mind Tua, but probably not going to use him. Bryce Young, same deal. Bryce Young kind of was coming on strong to end the season last year. 36-pointer in week 18. That'll win you a tourney. That'll win you $1 million. And that's the kind of play that Bryce Young is. He's really more of a milli maker play. Rushing yards, maybe a little bit better than I kind of remembered. I see he had a 68-yard game, but if we look at the rushing attempts, these are generally pretty low, 2, 2, 2, 3. So not expecting a whole lot of legs from Bryce Young. It's really going to be arm, and I like Ted McMillan. I like all that stuff. I like the matchup against Jacksonville, but tournament-only spot for Bryce Young there. Penix is on the other side of this really exciting Bucs-Atlanta game. I think I prefer the Baker Mayfield side of it, but Penix is worthy of a look, maybe a couple spots in some lineups. I feel the same about Drake May. I think I'll play a couple shares of him this week just because he's got those legs. He'll run for a touchdown. He'll get it done a lot of different ways. So Drake May, kind of interesting. If I'm playing him, I'm stacking him with Diggs, probably just Diggs, because the rest of the wide receiver core for the Patriots are still in flux a little bit. The rookie Kyle Williams, I don't even know. He's not necessarily even a starter yet. Like, I'm not sure who is going to play alongside Diggs. It could be Keyshawn Boutte, Demario Douglas. They're all a little overpriced. Fields in a tough spot against the Steeler defense. He should be fine. The price is right at 5,400. Fields was better last year than he got credit for as well. Even the fantasy points per game doesn't look that good. But if we look at his game logs, I mean, he popped for 35. He popped for 23. He had a couple good games in his little run as a starter for the Steelers. So I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have good games like that, but not this week, not with that terrible low game total. Darnold, probably not the best of spots for him. I'm probably not going to be super excited about that one. I think Trevor Lawrence has some tournament appeal. Easy to stack, playing against Carolina at home, high total game, unowned probably. Easy to stack. We know Brian Thomas Jr., we know who he is. Hunter, we know where to find him. Brenton Strange. So Trevor stacks +2 is something I'm going to be doing, I think, in week 1. I don't mind it at all. Aaron Rodgers is a no. Geno Smith on the road, barely acceptable. Danny Dimes, though. Yeah, okay. GPP only, of course. But I think Danny Dimes is somebody I'm going to keep my eye on as well. He's healthy. First game of the year, got the legs, can run a little bit. So, we looked at some of these other quarterbacks. Jones's average rush is 6, 8, 11, 11, 7, 7. He runs a lot. So that's what we're looking for, especially in a cheap QB. At this price level, we only need a 20 out of him to be at 4X, like the same 25 that I might need to squeeze out of a Goff just to sort of be acceptable for Daniel Jones is a 5X on his salary and a really good day. So I definitely am interested in Danny Jones this week 1 as well. As far as sort of the safe bet quarterback for week 1, I'm going to lean towards Mayfield on the road. Easy to stack. Jaden Daniels is an easy pick. He gets it done with the legs. So I'm going to stick to the more expensive guys, maybe in like a cash approach. But for tournaments, I think we're going to be building some stacks around a number of these guys. Even Brock Purdy, who's very stackable, and hit stacks around Purdy are very, very inexpensive. All right, guys, moving on to the running back position, NFL Week 1 on DraftKings. Salaries are crazy. Once again, value everywhere we look. Even at the very, very top, Bijan Robinson, if you're drafting right now, your season-long draft league, Bijan is the number 1 pick, maybe number 2 after Jamar Chase. He's considered the number 1 RB for 2025 right now. And look what he was doing towards the end of the year. When they finally unleashed unleash the beige. When they finally unleashed the beige, he was putting up big numbers. 28. I mean, look at all these targets. 28 carries, 5 targets, puts up a 34.3, meaningless last game of the season last year. That's what I'm looking for. 34, 24, 24, 28, 20, 32. Look at all these incredible scores that Bijan put up last year. He gets receptions, 7 for 7, 7 for 7, 6 for 6, 5 targets. So he's being targeted. He's getting runs. This guy does it all. 8K is actually a bargain price week 1 for Bijan Robinson. We can afford him. There's value everywhere. Bijan almost makes the all-value team as a value running back at 8K. That's how crazy week 1 is. Similarly, we got Christian McCaffrey, right? 7,300. Are you kidding me? Healthy Christian McCaffrey in a great spot. His team does not have a lot of pass catchers, so expect the offense to run even more through CMC week 1 than it might normally do. I love it. I love Christian McCaffrey. Plug him right in there. Absolutely great play. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. You want to start your lineups like that? Just pay up for the studs. It's doable. You can afford it week 1. There are values everywhere. Continue on. Bucky Irving coming on strong to end the season last year in this high total game. Nothing not to like here. He catches passes. A lot of people think Bucky is not a pass catcher. That's what Rachaad White does. Blah, blah, blah. Bucky catch a pass. 6 for 6 here. 7 for 7. Caught everything that went his way. 4 for 4. How could you say somebody can't catch a pass? 6 for 6. He can't drop a pass. Everything looks good about Bucky. 7,100, totally workable. HN might be hurt, so I'm not going to trust him right now. 6,900 though. If you get healthy HN for 6,900 with healthy Tua, that might be the best play of all. Jonathan Taylor, he's going to pop every once in a while whenever you least expect it. He needs to be in your player pool. He just always needs to look what he did in the playoffs, right? You're in the playoffs. You made the playoffs last year. It's week 2. You're going up against the team that has Jonathan Taylor, and you got tailored 42.8. And then he kept it going, another 30. So Jonathan Taylor won people leagues last year. That being said, he doesn't catch a ton of passes. It's mostly done via, just volume rushing. 32, 29, 22. Look at all these rushes. So I think with Daniel Jones in there, I don't know that hurts him at all. I think it's probably good for him. I think he's going to be just fine week 1. But just keep in mind with Jonathan Taylor, team not very good. And when he's not kind of blowing up, he does put up a lot of duds because he doesn't catch a lot of passes. So, but the stud games were a lot more than the dud games last year. Next up, Josh Jacobs. Yeah, he's fine too. Tons of volume for Josh Jacobs. 18.1 fantasy points per game last year. Lions defense, nothing special. They got Chase Brown. Chase Brown, what can Brown do for you? Win you your league this year. Chase Brown's in a good spot here as a favored running back in a high total game. The nice thing about Chase Brown is even when the team has to throw, he's still on the field because he's a pass catching back as well. He does it all. He never gets game scripted out of the game, really. So Chase Brown's going to be one of my favorite plays, not just this week, but every week this year. Love Chase Brown. I didn't mention Ashton Jeanty, but Jeanty kind of probably a better FanDuel play this week where he's priced down absurdly low. But I think Jeanty's playable as well at 7K. He's going to get all the touches for his team. Kyren Williams, decent spot at home as a home favorite. Breece Hall is somebody I'm not touching. I don't like this Breece Hall situation one bit. Get me out. They seem to like Braylon Allen at the goal line. That is just a death knell. Hall will have big games this year. I have no doubt about it, but predicting when those are going to be, it's coaches' decisions when they're going to bring in Allen at the goal line. It's a scene that I'm just out on for any sort of cash environment. Of course, everybody's tournament viable, but for any sort of handcrafted high dollar single entry or anything like that, I'm looking elsewhere. There's just too much value. Kamara, similar deal. I think the PPR upside is going to be there. I think he's going to catch some passes from the rattlesnake, but overall, Kamara just doesn't project all that great. I'm trying to remember which games Rattler played last year to get an example. So let's see what weeks he played. He started week 18, 17, 16, and 15, and 8. So 6, 7, 8, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? And if we go to Kamara, 15, 16, 17, 18, and see what he was doing, 15, he was out. So he gets hurt. But then it was these other games, 6, 7, 8. Basically, Kamara was putting up reasonable numbers. Let's see, 6. Yeah, he's catching passes, not really scoring touchdowns, because that's the thing. Do we really think the Saints are going to score a lot of touchdowns? So the question is, can Kamara do enough at this price point, 6,300, with PPR and just yardage to kind of make up for the likely lack of touchdowns? I don't know. I think Kamara is actually an acceptable and totally fine play on DraftKings here at 6,300. Like, this is a cheap enough price. He'll probably get 6 or 7 targets. He'll probably catch 6 or 7 of them. That gets you 6 or 7 points. Maybe he gets another 100 rushing yards. That's 16 or 17. Some receiving yards. He could get you up to 17, 18 pretty easily. So I think Kamara's fine, but my general take on, I want favored running backs. I want running backs on teams that are going to score a lot of points. I don't like what the Saints are offering this year. Flip side here, we got James Conner. I like the idea of stacking Conner up with Arizona defense in NFL Week 1. Conner, fresh, off the offseason, fully healthy, should get all the carries. Look what he was doing late last year, 29, 33. Conner's just one of these players that shows up in tournament winning lineups more than you think. At 6K, we need about a 24 out of him. Can he get there? I definitely think he can. Again, I don't mind pairing him up with Arizona defense in this one. Just getting that combo going. Chuba Hubbard is fine. Also, value play right there. I think Chuba Hubbard's going to lose some carries to Rico Dowdle, but note that, towards the end of last year, he was already up in the high 6K range. They just moved him back down to 6K for no real reason. So you're getting a bit of a discount on Chuba. He's not exactly a running back that is going to get you 30 plus most weeks, but I like the spot. I think, Jaguars defense, not that good. I think it's a decent spot for him. Walker, same deal. I don't know about the foot, the health, but if Walker's healthy, he should normally be fine. He doesn't catch a lot of passes. He can catch a pass. They just don't throw it to him that much. But my biggest concern with Walker is how much is Charbonnet going to play? And it's unclear. I think it's a little too soon for RJ Harvey Week 1. Harvey can't pass protect. We've seen in the preseason. I think actually J.K. Dobbins will be the starter for Denver, probably over Harvey Week 1. So I'm just avoiding it. Again, Pollard in a bad spot. Montgomery, you know what? This is worth a look here. He's a little bit cheaper than we saw most of last year. You can see here, he was priced all the way up like close to 7K. And if you look at his results, most weeks, 14th, it's not like great DraftKings tournament winning numbers, but it's like not bad, right? Good. I call it cash game. Here's a tourney kind of relevant number. And his best games ever are kind of tourney relevant with Jahmyr Gibbs in there. So it's mostly something I'm going to avoid in most formats, but it's not a bad price for Montgomery. It's just still, I don't know that the ceiling is where I need it to be a primary play. Tyrone Tracy, starting role for the Giants, whatever that's worth, but I'm looking for favored running backs, not underdogs. So probably no there. Dobbins, no. And the last kind of mildly interesting running back I would say for NFL Week 1 is Trevion Henderson. I need to hear more. I need to know that he's the starter and blah, blah, blah. Right now, we don't know anything about that, but Henderson absolutely crushed the preseason, and he's somebody I'm excited about this year. That being said, the third running back I'm going to slide into this first look lineup for now, this value lineup really, is James Conner. I like the spot. Again, I like Arizona. I like pairing up Conner with the Arizona defense in lineups this week. He's not going to be some lock but down all in play because of the bargains that are available just slightly above him. But I think so far from what I'm seeing, this is a good week 1. Maybe we're going to pay up a little bit for our running backs and we'll save the money at wide receiver, and you're going to see there's some massive bargains available at wide receiver this week. Let's jump over to defense before we go to the wide receivers. I just want to plug one into this first look lineup here, and what I'm usually going to do is just try to find the cheapest viable defense. There are 2 that are popping for me, but we're going to try to find the cheapest viable one. So Titans, no. Giants, no. Browns, no. Panthers, probably not. Saints, no. Texans, no. Seahawks, no. Falcons, no. Raiders, no. Not at the Patriots. Don't like it. Detroit at Green Bay, no. First possibility, Dolphins at the Colts. And why am I interested in this game? Because Danny Dimes is terrible. And so even on the road, the Dolphins could put up a decent score against a team like the Colts. And I think they would be, for me, the cheapest sort of viable defense this week. I also like the Jets defense here at home against the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers stinks, guys. He's not good. I think the Jets put a beating on him. And actually, that's who I'm going to be playing. They are a favorite defense here. I'm going to leave them in this lineup. But Arizona's the one I wanted to talk about. If we want to pay up a little bit further, we can get Arizona against the Rattlesnake in New Orleans, 3,500. All good. Of course, the Broncos at home against the rookie from the Titans is a really good spot as well. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that pops. So those will probably be my primary defenses for NFL Week 1. If I'm paying up, it'll be either the Broncos or the Cardinals. If I'm paying down, I'm going to stick with either the Jets or maybe even Miami. All right, let's jump over to the tight end spot, and then we'll close it out at wide receiver for a couple spots, and then I'll show you some stacked sort of correlated lineups that we could build off of what I call kind of a value base here. So for tight end, I'm going to start at the bottom and work our way up, kind of go a little bit in reverse here, and kind of talk about some viable tight ends at the low end. They're really, really exciting ones, though, if you're going to pay up this week. So stay tuned for that. But at the very, very bottom of the range here, we got Jatavion Sanders, who looks like he'll be the starter for the Panthers. Doesn't have any real production history to go off of, but he's the only guy there. So he should be okay. An interesting spot. Mason Taylor, rookie on the Jets. Again, this isn't a blow-up game or anything, but the Jets don't have anybody else to throw to. They have Garrett Wilson, and then so I think the tight end will get some targets at 3,100. I don't mind it as a super cheap play. Fannin getting the starter treatment in Cleveland. I think maybe we're a little too soon on him, but mild interest. A little bit more interesting as we go up here. Brenton Strange, the other side of that Jacksonville game. Brenton Strange, he's coming on kind of decent last year. Had a 12-target game. That's not normal. 12 targets in a single game for a tight end. That tells you that they like him. Evan Ingram was the starting tight end for the Jaguars last year. He's gone now. So I'm going to plug Brenton Strange in as what I feel is my kind of cheapest viable option at the tight end position this week. Okonkwo, 3,400, interesting. Darren Waller, I'll give you a strong maybe on him. I need to know if he's in playing shape. It's a little too soon for that to know. As we scroll up a little bit more, Hunter Henry is somebody that I really like here at 3,900 playing for the Patriots. Tucker Kraft's going to be interesting every single week. Kyle Pitts, with all the injuries to Darnell Mooney and all that, could be a playable spot. So Kyle Pitts will be on my list this week. Tyler Warren looked really good in the preseason. He'll make the list. Of course, at the high end, my favorite this week is going to be George Kittle, 5,800. Kittle actually outproduced Bowers and Trey McBride last year. Who knew? It was Kittle. It was always Kittle. Kittle does better when starters are out for his team. When they're forced to throw him the ball, he absolutely smashes. I think his talent is up there as good as any. I'm going to say it. I think he might be the most talented all-around tight end in the National Football League in terms of his blocking, his pass catching, his yak, his attitude, everything. He got the tood. So Kittle is somebody I'm going to look to upgrade to in the tight end position later on in a lineup as I'm building it. I'm going to start with sort of the cheap viable, and I'm going to try to look to upgrade. Love Kittle. And of course, McBride and Bowers are also fine, right? They're all studs. They're great. But Kittle would be the standout stud for me. I'm probably not going to touch Laporta because he's a little too close in price to these guys. He's a little too close to the stud zone for an 11.5 point average guy. These numbers are relevant enough that you should look. And, I'm not going to pay $5K for 11 points when I can pay $5,800 for 16 points. It's just the math don't work. The math don't work. All right, so I'm going to leave Brenton Strange in the tight end spot for now. And let's jump over to the wide receiver position. And I'm going to do wide receiver the same way I just did tight end, where we start at the cheap range and move our way up. And what I want to do here is identify some value spots, viable plays at the very, very low bottom tier of the range. And just starting at the very bottom, like I said, we're scrolling up here. Josh Reynolds, WR2 Jets, doesn't interest me. Bunch of crappy names. Adonai Mitchell could be interesting, could be more interesting as the week rolls on. Let's pay attention and monitor the injury status for some of these Colts wide receivers, especially Josh Downs. But Adonai Mitchell blew it up in training camp, so he's interesting to me. Scrolling up a little more, Thornton getting a starting role for the Raiders, whatever. But the next name that interests me quite a bit here in the savings category is Ray McLeod. Ray, nothing special player. There's nothing stand out about him, but Darnell Mooney's going to be out this is a sexy game. Darnell Mooney's going to be out for the Falcons. And when he's been out, Ray gets targets, 11 targets in a game, 7, 6, 6. He doesn't put up big numbers, but he could pop every once in a while. And most importantly, the opportunity should be there. And at 3,700, that's all you could really ask for, a wide receiver with some opportunity. So I don't mind Ray there. I don't think he's going to make my I'm not going to plug him in here. He's almost worthy of a plug in the lineup. I'll plug him in for now. I want to make the point, emphasis on that Ray could be an acceptable punt at 3,700 this week. The reason I don't like it that much is because there are studs available for not that much more. And I want to identify those real quick. And we're going to need space for them in these lineups. So scrolling up here in the salary, the first name, I got a couple names here that are ready. Like this 4,400 zone, this little zone right here is chock full of goodness. Even Cedric Peanut Tillman, as I like to call him, when he started for a few games last year, boom, 19, 28, 18, gets the 7, disappointing, gets hurt. Never hear from him again. But we could see this version of Cedric Tillman. So he's more GPP only because Ricky Pearsall, lock it down, core play, top dog on the slate, top value this week by far. I love me some Ricky Pearsall in NFL week 1 with Juwan Jennings banged up. Deebo Samuel's not on the team anymore. Who else is there? I don't actually know. Who else is there? Let's take a look. Demarcus Robinson? I don't even know. Let's look for it. So Ayuk out, Jennings questionable, Demarcus Robinson out. Oh boy. Even D-Rob. What happened to D-Rob? Suspension. Jeez. Didn't even know that. So there we go. D-Rob is out. That just leaves a bunch of nothing going on. Cowing, Watkins. What do these guys have in common? You've never even heard of them. Ricky Pearsall is going to get all the targets that he can handle in week 1, I think, and he will be a core play for me. He is not going to be moved out of this lineup. Get back to it. So love Ricky Pearsall, core play. If you guys have been following the best ball draft-a-palooza I did all summer long, we were getting Ricky Pearsall. I was talking him up from the start of the offseason, round 11, round 10, round 9. So I think that Pearsall play, I really hope I kind of staked my whole rep on him this offseason. And the thing I love about Ricky Pearsall is people forgot that he was drafted. He's a first-round draft pick. And the only reason he really didn't, and he did kind of blow up a little bit last year, later in the season, but he was buried behind Ayuk and Juwan Jennings, who was breaking out, and Deebo Samuel was there. There was a lot of other players there. And you knew year 1, it was going to be tough for him to find the field. But year 2, he started blowing up late in the season last year. 31-pointer, 18-pointer. I mean, these were amazing scores against like a 4K salary. There's a 17-pointer. I think I actually won a GPP with him in week 10. That's 17.3 as well last year. So Ricky Pearsall did everything you want. Second-year breakout coming type of player. Love, love, love the spot. Scroll back down to that very lucrative mid 4K range. I'm going to show you some more spots that look really, really good. Again, Kyle Williams, that's the rookie on New England. I think it's a little too soon for him. De'Ami Brown, probably somebody I'm just stacking with Trevor Lawrence in some deep tournament stacks. Calvin Austin, not really. Charles Tillman, I told you I already like him. But Marvin Mims Jr., another name I want to mention. He's not going to be our third value guy, but this guy was on the field for every Bo Nix snap in the preseason. All of them together. Mims Jr. seems to be locking down that WR2 role for the Broncos, and I'm here for it. I have a lot of exposure to him in best ball and tournaments. Look at what he did week 17 and 18. Monster plays, 8 for 8, 5 for 5, 22 points, 33 points, another 22-pointer a few weeks before. So Mims was just percolating at the end of last season. Now he comes back kind of as the, let's call it anointed WR2 for the Broncos. Super cheap. Love the spot. He will be in my tournament mix for sure. Another name I want to mention, Slayton as well. Kind of a tournament play, but somebody I'm interested in, just got paid by the Giants. But our next lockdown value starter, Emeka Egbuka, who absolutely crushed it in the preseason. Chris Godwin is out. The other wide receiver for the Bucs, McMillan, I can't remember his name. All I know is he's on IR, and it's the Emeka Egbuka and Mike Evans combo show this week. It's a high-end game. I love this spot, and I'm going to show you how we'll really quickly take this to an awesome Mike Evans lineup. So here you have it. All value wide receivers, Ray, Pearsall, Egbuka. Got a value tight end in there, and we have what I consider to be actually 3 value running backs in CMC, Chase Brown, and James Conner, right? So what do we do from here? This isn't a lineup. Super cheap, 11K. If I throw a reasonable Trevor Lawrence quarterback in there, you'd see a ton of salary remaining. So from here, I want to kind of go through the rest of the wide receiver group, and then we'll take this lineup, this value bomb lineup, and we'll turn it into an actual kind of tournament value lineup. That's something we could put into tournaments or give you the look of something that should be going into tournaments. And really what I wanted to do for this first look of the season is kind of emphasize that a lot of times we're identifying value spots, but in the end, you, the watcher, the user, the person pushing the buttons on your DraftKings account, you make these final decisions, and the little twists and turns that you take off of sort of a core value lineup, that's how you get to take down small tournaments, right? So get into that from here. But first, let's continue to kind of go through this wide receiver group, and you'll see there's values everywhere. 5K, the ranges don't stop. So as we kind of scroll up a little bit, there's Matthew Golden, the rookie from the Packers. I like him a little less than Pearsall and Egbuka, but he's also somewhat interesting this week. Ridley, another player, 5K. Now, I don't like the matchup at Denver on the road, first game for the rookie quarterback, but Ridley was the prime and almost exclusive focus of the Titans passing attack in the preseason, and it looks like he's going to have a big year. So keep him in mind, but I'm not sure week 1 is his time yet. Olave, Myers, fine. McMillan, totally fine play as well. The rookie looks to be a stud. If I'm playing anything around this Jacksonville game, I might use him there. Deebo Samuel is really interesting as well. Deebo Samuel might wind up being, it might be that they brought him in to be that pass catching kind of like pseudo running back role. It's really going to be interesting to see how the Commanders use Deebo. But obviously at 5,200, that is almost free. Stephon Diggs, a WR1 for the Patriots and at home against the Raiders, and is only 5,300. I mean, the value is crazy here. Cooper Kupp, Jerry Jeudy as well. Look at what Jerry Jeudy did last year. People forgot. That's why you got to bring up. He put up a 43, a 29, a 24, and a 21, all in this short span of time. Jerry Jeudy was looking like a legitimate stud wide receiver last year, toward the end of the year, like a WR1. They just got rid of Deontay Johnson. Jerry Jeudy is effectively the only game in town. You know that the Browns are going to be throwing the ball against a Bengals team that's lighting them up. Jerry Jeudy, very good play. J-Mo Williams, fine. Marvin Harrison is fine. Waddle's okay. JSN, the only game in town for the passing attack for San Francisco. Very good, right? Continuing on. I mean, Metcalf, it's just okay. Cortland Sutton, if I was kind of building a Bronco stack, I'd want him in there. Devontae Adams is going to do great this year. I'm happy to play him this and every week, right? Devontae is the man. I think he's actually, Matthew Stafford is a wide receiver elevator. He's an elevator. He elevates his wide receivers. How do you elevate Devontae Adams? But man, I can't wait to see. You know, I think we're going to have a monster year from Devontae if everybody can stay healthy on that team. And even more monstrous if Puka gets hurt and it becomes the Devontae show. So, you know, if you're still haven't drafted yet and you're watching this video, get Devontae. Terry McLaurin is fine, finally signed with the team. I'm not excited about this week one. You know, maybe not sure about his playing shape or whatever, but it's fine. Garrett Wilson is fine, even in a bad matchup, even in a low scoring contest. Garrett Wilson is such a focal point that I think you could play him even here. Higgins, probably somebody I'd only really use in stacks with Burrow. Flip side, Drake London, Mike Evans. I mean, should we not be ping-ponging these two, right? In a game like this, take a look at this. You put in Drake London, come back on Mike Evans. There's still plenty of salary left over. Still plenty of salary. I can get this beautiful ping pong. Remember that in our back testing and in all of the study that we've done of tournament winning lineups, the ideal build doesn't just have a primary stack quarterback, pass catcher, or two. There's usually secondary stacks in there. Secondary stacks meaning other games. Like this is a perfect secondary stack. Evans, London, and that's it. Or in this case, we've got Evans and Igbuga in here. So what I would do to turn this one into a tournament lineup is I'm going to slap Baker Mayfield up top. And now look what we've built. Mayfield, Igbuga, Evans, come back on Drake London. And if I want to make the comeback even more aggressive, I can actually get Bijan in there as well. Switch up CMC for Bijan. And now we've got a beautiful Tampa, Atlanta primary stack. And here I'm going to look for a secondary stack, maybe something like to make this a little more tournament viable. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe something at tight end. That's Tampa. Actually, I can get the Tampa tight end in there as well. Evans, Igbuga, yeah, or running back. What do we have in here? So Pearsall, San Francisco. So that would be maybe a Jackson Smith and Jigba or something like that. But you can see here that there's a lot of ways we can turn it into a massive stack situation. Maybe with Chase Brown in there, we could put a different wide receiver in there. Even, where's Jeudy? Kind of like the idea of a secondary stack here with Chase Brown and Jerry Jeudy. Who does that leave us? Pull. I can't really do this in real time here, so we'll think about that. But the idea is, look at how we can take the initial base lineup that we built and build off of it as we scroll up and find other values. So let me go kind of reset this a little bit. And as we continue to work the wide receiver and kind of talk through these wide receivers that are available, we'll look for some other stackable approaches that we could build for this lineup here. But yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., great, right? Trevor Lawrence. So we just had Trevor Lawrence in there with Brenton Strange. What about that? Throw Lawrence back in there, little BTJ Strange combo, and bring it back with maybe a piece from like a Tet McMillan. 2,900 left to spend. We can actually just spend somewhere else if I wanted Brenton Strange, again, part of that stack here. But let's see. We got Trevor Lawrence, McMillan, Igbuga, Pearsall, Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange. So Lawrence, Lawrence, BTJ. Let me put BTJ over here. I like that better. Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Strange. And we can bring it back potentially with Tet McMillan or not. Don't need to build a team stack is enough. Don't have to have a game stack. So from here, with 77K left, I can now really just plug a couple of studs in here as well. So we got BTJ in there, 8K for the last spot. How about Jamar Chase in there? Oh, that looks good. See, I love it when a plan comes together. Jamar Chase fits perfectly in that last spot. And we get this Lawrence, Strange, Brian Thomas Jr. stack. We got Bijan in there, Chase Brown, studs, Ricky Pearsall, stud value, Emeka Igbuga, supreme value, Jamar Chase, the best player in the NFL. Just like that. Just like that. I don't mind Puka, Nico, any of these stud wide receivers. They're all going to be good. Even Tyreek Hill week 1. Playable. I really like this. We'll leave this one up here as the sort of finale, but you get the idea. This was an extra long NFL week 1 first look. Guys, remember, if you want to get signed up for DFS Army, we've got it going on all NFL season, the Domination Station Optimizer, cheat sheets, projection systems, our Discord, the Players Club on Saturdays, where we do a VIP only live stream building lineups for our 10X, 20X, and super booster multiplier type entries, small tournaments, that kind of thing. We have tournament tactics on Fridays where we talk about how to build for milli makers and those type of giant contests. One of the big things that you have to do in DFS is differentiate super sized tournaments like the one on my screen, the milli maker, versus small tournaments, 50, 150, 250 entrants, versus multipliers, versus cash games. You got to change your approach up for each style. We'll help you with that here. Promo code NFL 2025 knocks 20% off your monthly dues, and that will lock in. That code ends in a week, right? At kickoff, it is gone. So last chance, get in there. Kickoff 2025 is the code. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out. Helmets up, everybody. I'll see you on the next one. Beyond that, of course, you got Tyreek Hill on this team indoors at the Colts.